What's good, college football gamers? It's your boy Fen checking in with another CFB 25 video. First of all, big thanks to everyone who checked out that recruiting video we posted yesterday. It got a great reception. I think we were able to help a lot of people out. If you're still struggling with recruiting in your dynasty, check out that video. I think it'll be a big help. For this video, I'm going to share everything I've learned about grinding coins in Ultimate Team game modes, starting way back in Madden 18 and 19, and even before then, grinding badges out for profits. OGs, I know you know what I'm talking about. Through Madden 20, where I met some real market gurus like UPANDADAM, that's where we connected for the first time, and guys like BUFFALOKAAY, all the way through today. These tips and tricks are going to be valid and useful for any Ultimate Team game mode, this one included. Just a couple things up front is I don't want to waste any of your time, and I'm just looking to provide a value. If you feel like you have a very high level understanding of Ultimate Team game modes, how they work, and what you should do to be grinding coins, this video just might not be for you. The hope is that I might give even an experienced Ultimate Team player just a couple things extra to think about that you might not have known before, but this video is indeed geared for players who might not have been on an Ultimate Team game mode since NCAA 14. So I'm not going to assume any pre-existing knowledge, including of the slang and some of the terms that we use when we talk about making coins, including sniping, filters, things like this. We're going to take it from the top. This is indeed a 101 level course. And to be totally fair, the thumbnail is bait. I got on the glitch for like 8 minutes of the thing. I've not spent a whole heck of a lot of time on the game mode otherwise, but like I said, these tips are applicable for any Ultimate Team game mode ever of all time, and they should help you get off on the right foot. So specifically, I want to cover fundamental concepts like sniping, what it is and how to do it. We'll talk about the value of filters in your searches and the idea of selling unfiltered while buying filtered and the difference there, what it means for you. We'll go over how to calculate the cost of an in-game set, including the tax that you'll lose on the back end, so you can just apply this very same logic all year to all the promos and all the sets that come out to decide whether or not you could find any profit in there. For some more up-to-the-moment analysis on what's happening in the market right now, right this second, I'd check out guys like my guy UPANDADAM, BUFFALOKAAY, IJOEBRUIN, some true market gurus. They spend a lot of time and resources making sure they're connecting people with real-time information. I'm going to link a couple of their socials in the description below. Make sure you check them out once you master these fundamentals. So without further ado, we'll start with what is sniping and how to do it correctly. Enjoy. So to start from the top, sniping is a method in Ultimate Team game modes that will always be viable to make coins, no matter what promo is out, no matter what sets are available, no matter if we have a good reroll or a bad reroll or anything in between. It really doesn't matter. Sniping will always be viable and valuable as a means to acquire some extra coins. Sometimes sniping can be very easy. Sometimes it can be a little more difficult. What we mean when we talk about sniping specifically is as basic as buying low and selling high. Specifically, though, scrolling through some filters that you will kind of learn how to set for yourself as we go through this video here, looking to snipe. That is to say, shoot your shot pretty quick, pull a well-filtered card that is priced for lower than the market value, getting your snipe off, actually being able to purchase a card, which is going to include moving pretty quickly at your point of attack when you see the card that there is to cop. But you have to get a little bit of a grip as to what the market is for this specific card that you're looking for to decide whether or not you're going to be able to snipe these cards. So this is also kind of going to include our conversation about using filters as a way to get the best prices and get your best look at the market. So when we first tap in for the auction house here, let's scroll over to a decent card at this point in the game. We'll use the quality 82 to 83 overall filter. And there's a couple things to notice when you first get to this page. The very first thing is that a lot of these auctions that you see posted first, you see 11 minutes left, 16 minutes left, 16 minutes left, 19 minutes left. We would refer to this as an unfiltered price. That is to say, no extra filters other than the overall. So it filtered by 82, but unfiltered otherwise, where it's giving you a lot of these auctions that are going to be ending soon, which also means they've been sitting there for quite a while. Assuming this card was posted for an hour, it's lasted now 49 minutes without anybody buying it. The reason they put these cards here is obviously hoping that someone will buy it. So you're getting bad prices, but soon you know, pretty rapidly ending auctions on an unfiltered view. We want to look for a little bit better of a price. So let's start to filter down a little bit better. So let's change from type from all to all offense and see what that looks like for us. Unfiltered is looking like 20-ish, and this filter actually getting even a little bit worse. But we know right above the card, you see there was 100 items found. 100 is the maximum amount of items that the game will show you at one time. If you're seeing a number that's really even close to 100, in this experiment, when I was doing some pre-work, I saw 98 cards listed that was not indeed giving you all of the cards available. So when we click, so offense is showing for 100. When we click over to defense, slightly filtered, we're seeing now that for 28, 99 items found, which is telling us that we still have not filtered this all the way down to get our best prices. When we do have the filters correct, the number will be significantly less than 100 or 99 or 98 that you're seeing above that first card. And the cards that you see listed up front here will probably be a little bit closer to, say, 59 minutes. Cards that were indeed just posted. The filter is already on buy it now price. I know a lot of expert snipers will even sometimes, when you hold down R2, excuse me, when you hold down L2, you could flip around to a couple different filters. I know some of the super sweaty snipers will actually use newest. That way, they'll be able to grab cards that are freshly posted. If you get your filters right, though, I am definitely still a proponent of just using buy now price. But obviously, since the total numbers found is still so high, we've not whittled it down far enough. So I'm seeing on this very first screen, we got a couple corners, we got a couple safeties. Let's try that as our next filter to make 3 total. So now we'll look for cornerbacks specifically. And let's see if that's getting our total number down and getting a little bit closer to the actual filter that we might want to buy at. Closer, for sure. Now there's 96 available once we've picked the cornerback filter. And now we're starting to see these times creep up a little bit. This has 57 minutes left, 52, 52. So we filtered by corner. We're seeing a lot of this guy from Kentucky. That's the bulk of it. So let's see then, we'll add yet another filter. We'll throw on team, scroll down to Kentucky. So now we are looking to essentially snipe one specific card. I imagine this is going to bust that number down significantly now to 50 items found. So now we know you're at your best possible filter for finding cards like this as cheap as you possibly can, okay? By the same token, we saw safeties listed pretty frequently and pretty low price before we specified the filter, so we could bounce over to safeties. We still have Kentucky on, so hold on a sec. Let's free up that team filter here. And again, we've been able to whittle that down to 53 items, so we know that that's our best filter, and we're actually seeing the best prices available for this card. Now, we can kind of compare unfiltered to filtered prices. So for this strong safety, the best price that we can buy at right this second right now is 26.2 without looking for a snipe. That is to say, without changing filters around and hoping you just see something pop to the top of your list that's 19K or 18K, which is very easily a buy. We're not quite sure whether this is going to be yet or not. So let's remind ourselves what the unfiltered prices look like. So we could buy this at 26 right now. Let's remind ourselves what it looked like unfiltered. So we'll just go back to all defense. And now we can see the very first card is listed at 28.2. So with just what we've seen so far, there was not a whole heck of a lot of profit to be pulled from that specific 26.2 card. You can assume that if unfiltered, they're listing for 28.2, you might be able to sell at a pretty good clip up until that point. So you might target maybe high 27s for your cost when you buy low and you now look to sell, because you know that that's the unfiltered price. And then to kind of do the legwork on your sniping, say for example you kind of just wanted to bounce between the safety and the corner that we looked at, so we'll go corner here, 24.5, probably a pretty good buy. I'm gonna go ahead and actually cop this. And you love it when a plan comes together. I missed my snipe. I wasn't fast enough. And I'm actually glad that happened right there, because that's part of the process here. If you see a good buy and a good value and there is a difference, you need more than a 10% difference to account for the tax that you're going to lose when you sell the card on all auction house transactions. When you sell a card, the game mode just takes 10% out of it, makes flipping a little less viable, but you can still fight through it. So you need to make sure that you stand to that the difference is more than 10%. That is to say, you're not going to lose money just on that 10% tax all the time. And then you need to be pretty quick to the button. We lost out on this cornerback, so we'll go back to the filter. We were going to buy at 24. 25 is okay, but not quite as attractive. Again, we're up around 95 items sold. That time left is looking a little bit high. So the corner necessitated throwing on this Kentucky filter for us also. A little bit arduous. There's Kentucky. But now we got it up to 7 hours and we're seeing a better buy. So essentially that's your idea and what you should understand between what you might be able to sell a card at to a casual who is not going to use a bunch of filters. They might just look for all defense or corner or some of the filters that we've seen here without whittling down again by position or by team or something like this. And when you understand the difference there, you might need to be patient on your sells. You might need to crank that time up from an hour to 8 hours, for example, or even maybe more. You might be, you might need to kind of leave that overnight to see what happens. But if you're patient enough, you'll use your understanding of where an unfiltered price is at, where you can get lucky and snipe something that's significantly, well, that is more than 10% under that price range. Really, I think you should be looking for like closer to like 15 or 20%. I don't know how worth your while it is to just kind of keep flipping between filters and making 500 coins every time. That's kind of up to you. You can make coins in small doses and that's fine. And if you're down to grind that out for a few hours and be patient in your snipes and in your filters and you're quick to your buys, that could totally work for you. And you could grind out a 500 or 1,000 per card profit, or you could shoot a little bit higher. As in real life, it takes money to make money. So we're looking at the 82 to 83 filter. There will be both more risk and reward if we were to do something like bumping up from 83, especially at this point in the game, to the 84, 85 filter. Let's just see what this looks like. And now you're getting far less cards. This is only showing us 8 cornerbacks available. So there could be an opportunity for a snipe. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it. There's just not a whole heck of a lot of inventory at this level, so probably not a filter I would spend very much time on trying to snipe. Let's check what all offense looks like on 84, 85. And now we're back up to 100 items found. So again, we know that this is not a good filter. We can kind of take note of where these cards are selling without extra filters, but this is not a filter that we want to buy on. What are we seeing on this front page? We're seeing a few different halfbacks. Halfbacks look like a good option for another filter, and a couple quarterbacks, some wideouts. So let's check halfback first as a more specific filter here on 84 and 85, and that's already looking better. It's not quite the over 10% that we need, but you're showing for 46 items, which you can see right above this first card. So you know that at least you are getting the best price with your given filters. You might need to wait a little bit and be patient. A good way is just to kind of switch one filter so that when you go back, in this case, to halfback, it'll just refresh what's available. And this is where you'll kind of settle in. Find some filters you like, and then bounce between a couple positions that you feel like you'll have some inventory at, right? You're not limited to 8 items like we saw on that higher overall filter. Instead, you're just kind of flipping between a couple positions. You have in mind the price that you want to buy at. So we would be looking here for way lower in the 70s. 75 just about. When we flip back over to wideout, 116, so a completely different market for wide receivers. But again, higher cost. If you get good snipes, you have the potential to make more money on your flips. And you're going to need to kind of get an understanding, right? So the price for halfbacks and in the mid to low 70s is not indeed the same market that it's going to be for wideouts. Your takeaway is just make sure when you're buying, you're filtering all the way down such that you're seeing far less than And in this case, it's like less than 98, 99, 100. I've seen some filters where it's showing for 98, which makes you think that the page is not is indeed maxed out and just 98 are all the items that are available. But upon a little bit further investigation, that's not the case. So you want the number to be less than that, probably even out of the 90s, to guarantee that you're seeing all the cards that are actually available at this point. So maybe a little bit long-winded, but hopefully you understand what you should be looking for, the filters that you should be using to make sure you're buying at a super filtered price, selling at a much less filtered price, being a little bit patient with your duration on the auctions to make sure they actually sell through. The longer you are willing to wait, generally the more coins that you could make off of the auction. Somebody might buy that thing unfiltered. Another way that you'll always be able to check to see whether or not you can make coins as promos come out. A lot of times on the first day of a promo, if there's going to be an opportunity to make coins, it's the highest early on. And then once more people get on the mode and they're participating in the promo, a lot of times the market will kind of reset itself and kind of re-regulate. So it's to your advantage to get into promos and start poking around in these sets relatively early, especially if you're able to be on right when stuff drops. That's generally when the champions or whatever card you're making from the sets will be the most expensive, just because there's not as many people on the game and a lot of folks just want to skip to the point and they're willing to buy the big dogs without doing the legwork that we're doing here. So we're going in a little bit blind, but another thing you'll be able to check for all of these promos is just in sets with a fairly simple and intuitive calculation of whether or not you could buy the necessary cards to create the item, and then look at the item that you would create, how much that's selling for, to see if there's a profit to be made as simply and easily as trying to buy pieces to a set at a lower cost than maybe the market value, and then maybe even being a little bit patient once you make the master, being patient on the sell, and leaving them up there for a few hours. So if we're to look at this 83 overall Ultimate Alumni Elite set, we already have the pieces, but let's pretend that we don't. So we need 282 overall Ultimate Alumni players and 180 overall anybody, and we will get out 183 overall Ultimate Alumni Elite Pack. So we're going to get an 83 out of it. The set takes 282s, specifically Ultimate Alumni, and any 80. So let's get a check on what the values of all these things involved are going to look like. And while the set feature will give you an option if you don't have the card to just search the auction and kind of put it in that way, you're not going to get good search results from the search page in sets. That's super important. The game kind of sets you up for failure a little bit. If you don't have a card, it'll give you the option to search the auction house for that card right here on the screen. Anticipate that it's going to essentially give you what we now know, after what we just talked about, to be unfiltered prices. You're going to get some pretty expensive options. So I would not indeed go from the set menu. Go ahead and find out this information through the auction house for yourself. Don't necessarily listen to the cards that they're going to point you at. They're going to be a little more expensive than you actually need to spend. So we're back at the auction house, and our first order of business here is the 282 overall Ultimate Alumni cards that we'll need for the set. So we're going to change our overall filter down to 82 here. We know it's Ultimate Alumni, so we could change program over to Ultimate Alumni. We'll check and we see we're getting 82 items found. High, but we might be able to do a little bit better. Costed around 23K, so let's filter it one more time to show all offense. We'll probably just use 23K for this example. And yeah, 23K looks like, without doing any extra work or waiting for a snipe, 23K looks to be about a price that if you're patient enough, you see 28's there for the 82. Oh, that 23 just went. So 23 is going to be a pretty good buy. I mean, this might even just be a snipe and repost for slow opportunity here. To be a little more conservative, let's just use 24 as a number. So 24K for 182. We need 2 of those. I'm writing this down on a notepad. So for the 82s alone, we're going to need to spend 48K coins to get that part of the set. Now let's take a look at the 80. So we'll get to 80s here, and as we expected, there's going to be way more inventory, just generally speaking. I have this sorted by 80 to 81 and all offense. We see a bunch of this same wide receiver. I know if you've done any of these training roles, you've probably seen a bunch of this guy, Hunter, as well. So let's flip this from all offense to wide out. to see the best price that we could find for an 80. It's still looking a little bit high. We could use the team thing for us again. Let's check Washington. So we're only going to find hunters that are posted here. So we'll scroll down, adding a filter to try to whittle down the results that we're getting. Goes from 100 to still 100, but this is a good buy. I already know this is a good buy. I'm sniping this too. Did I get the snipe? We did get the snipe at under 10K for an 80. Maybe a little undisciplined because we were still showing for 100 items, but when I saw the times remaining on those first auctions, because they were pretty high, pretty close to that like relatively standard hour mark, I'm okay buying at this spot. You could be a little sweatier with your filters, but that's okay. And we just bought it for 10K. So we got our 48K that the 82s, the two 82s that we will need will cost us. We have the 180 for about 10K, and that's going to equal total 58K to buy the pieces to build this 83. I find it to be highly unlikely that this is going to be a profitable set, but let's check it out since we've gone this far. So now we need to see what the champion or the product of the set will wind up selling for, and it's going to be an 83 overall Ultimate Alumni. I believe this is going to show us 82s up front. It will. So we need to find out then, where do 83s start? Because that's the card that we're going to get out of it. And it looks to start right around, look, so we got left tackle, halfback. Let's use left tackle and halfback to know our worst case scenario. We'll go left tackle here, 83, 40K. I think this is also a snipe. I'm copying because the very next one was 50. Did we get a snipe during the video? I feel like we did. And I'm good with that. Without even checking the market for the card, which is always going to be a little bit risky. But since the very next card was posted for 54K, this is not what we were talking about. We're doing sets right now. But that's a great snipe. I just copped for 40K. This is filtered all the way down. So the best case scenario for someone else who wants to buy this card is 54K. I just bought mine for 40. Even if I posted mine for 52, I'm still going to make, 7,000-8,000 coins worth of a profit. Is it game shaking? No, but did it take me 5 seconds? Also, yes. So, 83 is looking like it's going to be about, we'll call it 55K. 55K selling price for the 83 in this set example. So, it would cost you, if you just bought it, the prices that we put out, 24K for an 82 and 10K for an 80. It would cost you 58K to build a card that costs on the market 55K. Let's see if the halfback, so this is not a good build. Let's check out the halfback. About the same thing. So it seems to be market for these 83 overall Ultimate Alumni cards about 55K. You have to anticipate the tax on these when you go to sell. So your profit, what you could stand to walk away from selling an 83 is going to be about 50K. If you just take 10% off, right around 55K, it's going to be just about 50K on the nose. So we did the check, and we know that just on easy filters without doing any sniping at all, this is not indeed going to be a profitable set to use, and I'm not surprised by that. We didn't get in early. It's a relatively low overall. The margins would be pretty minuscule anyway, so it's not a shock, but even while we were going through it, you could see that making attempts at sniping out some pieces, so you know how to snipe, you know how to set that up, you can wind up with pieces to a set kind of in that process if you're willing to slow down a little bit, not sell your stuff right away, and instead see if you could build some of these cards with your low-cost sniped pieces. Then you might be able to salvage a profit. I mean, you would only need to get, if you got 2 good snipes on 82s, say you got them for 20K instead of 24K, that's 40. You're getting a little bit closer, and you could probably see how that works. I just pulled up a notepad here. Took me just but a couple minutes to check this out. And like I said, especially when new promos drop, if you can be on when the promo drops, you do the same cost analysis, pieces to a set, or maybe it takes a training roll. You could take a look at what the minimum pull on a training roll is and think about it like that. But when brand new promos come out, when you do this very same analysis, you'll very likely find much bigger profit margins. They dry up quickly because you got to remember, we are not the only ones looking to make coins in the market, right? A lot of these people are smart. Our fellow gamers are smart. The community is smart. So the profit margins are not going to last very long. It's to your advantage to get in pretty early, but hopefully with what you learned in this video, you'll know a little bit more about how to set up filters, what sniping is. You got to be quick to the trigger, and kind of how to put it all together to consider whether or not you can make profit from sets. An even extra idea on sets as we get more of them throughout the year. Be creative on where you're getting your cards from. A lot of times, great coin methods will involve sets from a few different promos. Say you need to create 83s, so you found a relatively good value set to create 83s, and you're going to take those 83s and you're looking to put them into a set for an 85. And so be creative, kind of take note of which sets are producing what types of cards. In the past, a lot of sets have been, especially last year, they were not tied to the promo itself. And instead, you could use any cards to create a lot of the champions from promos that came out. It seems like it's going to be a little bit different here in College Football 25, kind of like back to older times when you do need to match promo cards to wind up getting the champion. But all of that's kind of secondary to the stuff that we talked about today. Your foundational value in sniping will always be there. You know how to filter all the way down to make sure that number of items found is showing for much less than 100 to guarantee that you're seeing the best prices. And then you can consider, you know, they call it lazy selling, or putting up a card that at a price that looks good unfiltered, but you know is higher than the market price. And with a little bit of patience, you could stand to sell some of those and make some pretty good profits. I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, I know Ultimate Team gurus and y'all folks that have been on these type of game modes, this might be a lot of old news for you, but if we even dropped one gem that was helpful, W's for that. And if you're starting from the top, you're a Dynasty player, you've been waiting for this game to come out since NCAA 14, and you thought you might want to give the College Ultimate Team a shot. Hopefully this gives you a jumping off point and lays a little bit of a foundation so you could do so successfully, and maybe give it enough time and effort, you won't get steamrolled by some of these big money squads. You could make your own coins instead. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, if you have any questions, leave me in the comments below, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next video, man. Peace.